So thank you for thank you all for inviting me to this Aveiro Tech Days. It's my first time in Portugal and for sure in Aveiro too. And I'm not going to talk about 5G and the bits and pieces of it because I heard that you have. Thank you. I heard that you have been fed with that for 2 days, so you know everything about the technique. I'm going to talk about application and how we cooperate in Umeå around what we are trying to achieve. But since you probably never have heard about Umeå, so I have a little map, and it is pretty much as far you can get from Aveiro, still being in the European Union, I would say. But the countries are pretty similar. We have the same size of population. Sweden is, of course, a little bigger by area, but we have around 10 million citizens both. And actually, the cities of Umeå and Aveiro isn't that different too. It's medium-sized cities in the countries. We have big universities who make a huge impact on the city. In our case, the population is 130,000, and we have a university actually we have 2 universities, but the big one has 34,000 students, so they make an impact, of course. It's a young city. It's a city that's interested in changes and new techniques, and that's a big advantages when you try to do something like 5G. So what is that then? It is an ambition to create the first big test city and large-scale lab for trying out applications for new techniques, and especially then 5G. Some of it isn't 5G, as you soon will realize. It's 4G and narrowband IoT, but we are not that bothered about that. We are into applications, as I said. So this is the setup. It is the public Umeå who's got together. That's usually the way we do it up in Umeå. We're a long way from the capital, so we have to do things by ourselves, and then we have to work together instead of the opposite. So it is the municipality. It is the bigger of the 2 universities, Umeå University. Umeå Energy is the local public-owned energy company, but they don't just provide energy and water. They are owning all the fiber infrastructure and the broadband. It used to be Umeå were pretty fast on building out the fiber infrastructure. Used to be the fastest city in the world. Now I think the South Koreans are faster, but it is still very much outbuilt, and 98% of the population have access to broadband. And it is the county council, and that's for the county, and mainly their main issue is taking care of healthcare. And it's a big county. It's like 20 miles times 40 miles, and most of it is totally scarcely populated. Almost no one lives between the small villages. So it's a vast area, and with quite a few challenges for the healthcare. I will get back to that when I'm talking use cases. And then it's the science park. It's the smallest of all these organizations, and I'm CEO of it, but we have the project owner. Well, it's easier for me to manage it than the big guys, but they provide with resources. So what are the goals? As I said, we're not that interested in the technical part of it, because of course we come into it, but we are more interested in creating values for our citizens and the companies who works and operates in Umeå. We're trying to find solutions that makes things easier, better, cheaper, or more accessible for our inhabitants. It could be products, it could be services. And we have a sort of a phrase, I don't know if it's good, maybe digital happiness. It could be, we could achieve that. And I'm not interested, I won't hide that there is another aspect of it too. We could get more investments in Umeå, more work opportunities, more companies coming to Umeå because of what we're doing. And it's all about building an infrastructure. We have a test license that's handed out from the Swedish government, Post and Teleboard, you can translate it to. They govern the licenses for the spectrum. And we have a test license as being the only city in Sweden who has that. PDS have announced that they will hold an auction in March 2020, and then we will see what happens. Or we know what happens. The big mobile operators, of course, will buy the licenses. But they are talking about local licenses. And we will see what that could bring on. We're not sure, and we're not sure if we are interested. We'll see. And then the really critical part is to make an innovation arena happen from the aspect the public of Umeå have issues that needs to be solved. It's not the other way that you have tech companies come with solutions that might not even be needed or wanted or demand for, just because you can do them. So we start up with challenges that need to be addressed. And of course, when we talk with the operators, the business model is something that's really an issue. Because with the previous Gs, it was quite easy. They just charge us as consumers. We have this, like we bought a phone and we paid a monthly fee, and it was talk minutes or megabytes transferred. Now it's low latency and connected devices in form of sensors, and the operators don't really know how to charge for that. So that it could be some. I believe, I have a personal thought that if you work with the public sector and you have solutions to challenges, it could be needed to have a business model who has a base of value sharing. If you create some values, reduce costs, it might be that you can share those values as a sort of way to finance it. So more in detail then. We are looking for cases that are varied, that are in obvious need and have a relatively short time scale. We are not talking about surgery on distance, because we know that will happen, but it's not in a couple of months. It's pretty far out there. But I give you some of the areas that we are interested in. The first one is a NUS, that's north of Sweden's University Hospital, the biggest hospital, and it's in Umeå. They have, of course, big challenges with a population that grows older, and they are multi-sick, and they have to reduce costs. So they are aiming to do more and more of the healthcare with the patients still at home. And to be able to do that, you really need new techniques that more safe, that can do things remotely or even autonomous. Now I'm guessing, but that's the case. That's a large variance of cases in that area. And then you have some easy ones that trying to replace Wi-Fi in the hospital with 5G because it's more stable and more secure. But that has a problem because you don't have that many devices up and running yet. Regarding the university, they are interested of a research hub, of course. And then you have the situation with so many students. And you know, when we calculated and looked into it, you know, every student has at least 2 connected devices on themselves all the time. Most of them have 3. They have a laptop, they have a smartphone, of course. Everyone has that. And most of them have a smartwatch or an iPad or something. So it really adds up. So you have to have capacity for handling that. And being a university in a city with that history, it really has to be the most connected place in the city. And that's what the university aims for. Regarding Umeå city and the municipality, there are a big variance in areas to have application in. You saw on the map, it's pretty far up north. We are looking into a case about handling snow on the streets and the bike roads. Because even though it's far up north and we have -10, -20 degrees in wintertime, people use their bikes all year round. Just change the tires and have tire with bikes on it. Even though it's snowing, even though it's slippery, and we have to take care of those roads. So we're investigating with sensors on bikes and fixed sensors who can report the situation of the streets, so we can use use the information to make priorities from the entrepreneurs to take away the snow, and we can recommend the best route for the bikers to take to work or to school or whatever. That's an interesting case. I won't mention any more of them because this might be the most exotic one for you. Then we have a couple of cases regarding industry, and I will talk a little bit about them. The first one is at the local energy company. This is you really don't see it, but this is a big plant. This is a power plant that provides all of Umeå with district heating. We don't need that much district cooling, so we have district heating instead. Most of the households in Umeå are heated by district heating. And we have two plants. One of them is for waste from the households. That's the older one, the greener one on the picture. And the one on the back side, there we have biofuels. And it's mainly residue from the forest business. And that's what you see in the back side. That's the storage of biofuels. It is a vast area. You don't see all of it. It's like 15 hectares. 15 hectares. So it's really big. And we have a need to monitor the volume there, so we know how much we have in stock. Because in this place, failure is not an option. The heat can't go down when you have -20, because then the houses will freeze, they'll be destroyed. So this has to work all the time. So we want to explore how we can monitor it in a better way, and to look in another area of the big fuel stacks. We have to monitor the temperature, because under certain circumstances they can lit themselves on fire if it's special weather. It could be even a piece of glass inside the stack that could make a fire happen. So we are exploring how we can have drones to patrol the area every day and send the data in, so we know the inventory and we know the temperature. That's not 5G, of course, most of you understand that. But in the next phase, we are going to have autonomous vehicles, trailers and trucks, going from the fuel depots into the plant. Because nowadays it's done with diesel trucks and chauffeurs, and that's not the way to do it, really. This is a fence around the whole environment, but it's a mixed area where you have people on the ground and you have machines. So it needs a fair bit of safety and security around it. So then it will become 5G. And the last example is from the private industry, and we don't have a particular case, but it's interesting to see. We have one of the two world-leading manufacturers of forest machines. Komatsu, this one is owned by the Japanese, used to be a Swedish company, and these are expensive machines. They operate 24/7, 365 days a year. So the chauffeurs change the seat every twice a day, maybe 3 times a day, I don't know. And they have a vision about having these machines without any people in them. At first, remote controlled, and that's you can foresee that is possible. Of course, you can sit in a good environment and control your vehicle, even though it's a pretty tricky environment, a forest. And that's obvious in the next step when they are autonomous, because this isn't a pavement or a tarmac road. It could be anything in the woods. But they have a vision of accomplishing that. And it could be, 5G could be an enabler. Probably we need some more, like AI applications and so on. But we are looking at the application from their vision. So that was a few examples without being technical, and what we are trying to do in Public Umeå. So thank you. And I think it's on time.